Hi guys, Jordan from B&B Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your Pilote. So it's a Pilote Galaxy 901. So you probably noticed I've got the engine battery on charge at the moment. We are actually going to be replacing this battery because, to be honest, it's no good going out when it keeps going flat. So we'll have a new engine battery in there before it goes. But under the bonnet, we've basically got standard 5-cylinder Mercedes engine, super reliable. You shouldn't get any problems with the engine whatsoever because they are so good. Engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here at the top, and your engine oil dipstick is this red topped one here in front of us. Over on the left, we've got your brake fluid, which is in this reservoir here attached to the servo just behind it. You've then also got the washer fluid reservoir there. What else have we got? Air intake goes in through here, and your engine coolant has its own overflow reservoir here as well. So that's what that is there. Not sure what else I can see down there. Okay, so they're the main bits and pieces you need to know about, to be completely honest. You've also got, obviously your engine battery's over here. The leisure battery is completely separate inside, and I'll show you where that is. But as you can see there, positive's closest to us, negative at the back. If you can't reach the negative, because it is a bit far back, if you can't reach that negative, then this engine hoist just here is also a very good negative or an earthing point for jump starting, charging, whatever really. That is a good one there. Okay, so that's about it for under the bonnet there. Like I said, based on the Mercedes, it's a Sprinter and it's a 316 CDI chassis. Inside this passenger side door here, there's not a huge amount to show you, to be completely honest. It's not, you know, they don't tend to put too much on the left hand side on the passenger side, but you have got your engine bonnet release down here. So if you did need to release the bonnet catch there, that's in there. A couple of cup holders inside this little, it's actually quite a big glove compartment in there. The bulb might have gone for in that, so I'll have a look at that in a minute. I'll leave that open so I can do that. You've got a little reading light up here, which you can turn on and off. I think that comes on and off when you open this door, as part of the kind of the original reading light. So you see there, when I press this button in, which is what happens when you open this door up, this gets pressed in. So if you see what happens there, the light goes on and off. So when I shut this door, there you go. So that you've got a little light that comes on to help you see when you get in. Standard Mercedes filling cap in there. You need your ignition key to get that open. And your freshwater filling point is this one here. So please don't get these two mixed up. The one at the front there is for your diesel, and the one here is for your fresh water. Next cupboard is your boiler. So the PCB or the circuit board is in here behind this cover here, so you don't need to get into that for any reason other than if you get a problem with it in the future. But to be completely honest, the only problem we ever get with these is having to replace this whole board. It literally takes a few minutes. Otherwise, very, very simple units. So just here at the front, you've got your boiler dropout. So usually these are obviously tucked away somewhere in the inside of the vehicle and quite difficult to get to. But thankfully, Pilote have, you know, been kind to us and allowed a cupboard here to get into it and sort of work around it. So if you do get any problems in the future, really, really easy and simple to get to. If you want to drain the water out from the boiler, push this little button down, and any water that's inside the boiler will drop out like you just saw there. To get that to stop happening, lift it back up again where it is now. If in the future, so essentially what that is what's called an automatic dropout valve. And so if this boiler recognizes that it's got to about 4 or 5 degrees, it will drop all the water out by pushing this down. And it does that to save the boiler from the water freezing inside of it and then breaking all the pipes and bits and pieces around it. If you don't want that to happen, you can see here somebody in the past has already done it, you can put this peg on it, which will stop this button from being able to be pushed down. Okay, now the only reason we take these off and leave them to one side is that really, this is a safety function. And if you forget to drain this boiler out and it does freeze up inside, you will be having to pay out for a new boiler because it will break. So this being here is great and it is useful because it stops that from ever happening. But if you can't, you know, if it's annoying you and you don't want that to go down anymore, you can put the peg on and stop it from happening. But like I said, I wouldn't advise that because, to be honest, it's a helpful thing to have to stop that from ever happening. But if you're going to be using the vehicle and it doesn't really matter so much. Hookup point just here, so you can see I'm hooked up at the moment, so I can show you a few bits working on the inside. I don't think that cupboard's open. It's locked. Okay, so down underneath here we've got your wastewater drain off, and you can see there it's in the closed position, so all I have to do is turn that red lever just there and that will allow any water to drain out through that pipe. Just trying to see what else we've got under there. Okay, so this near side here at the back is just for the waste drain, and at the very back of the vehicle got your reversing camera which has been fitted and not much else. So I'll show you around on the off side now. You can see as well, just so I can show you on the video, that we have got the it is the original one, but we warmed it all up and it was a bit of a pig to do, to be completely honest, but it is all in now, really nicely sealed up against the other one. And actually, just so that you know, I forgot to take a picture of it because I was going to take a picture of it before so you could see, but before I put this rubber seal back in, I actually filled the gap, because the gap's about this big behind it, so between sort of here and here. That just being a big gap was a bit pointless, so I filled it all the way up with black Sikaflex, which is like a really strong bonding sealant, and in doing that, when I pushed this back in, it sat into that sealant, so this should not ever be able to come out again. So, you know, really nicely bonded in now, and obviously all the nice corners. There were a few little cracks around here as well, and you can just about see the paint there, but I did fill them and use a little bit of touch up to go over them. So I've done the best I could on that. I'm not a professional, but you know, I think it is a lot better than it was. So hopefully you're happy with that. So down here on the off side, you've got your gas locker. You can see there's space for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles if you do want them. And you've got the changeover at the top there so that you can have them both on at the same time. Otherwise, you can just use it as it is now, as it is set up. It will tell you on your hab sheet, but your pigtail here, I can't quite find the date. Oh, there they are. Product date 2022. Okay, so you got till 27 to replace that pigtail. Turning the bottle on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left to turn it on, and to turn it off, you go clockwise around to the right. It does tell you that on the top there, but you can't always see that from out here. So I'm going to leave that on for the minute because I've got a few things on inside. These 2 vents just here are for your fridge. So if you've got the fridge lit up on gas, which I do at the moment, put your hand over this top right hand side where there's a little hole in it, and you'll feel nice hot air being, you know, blown out through there. That's basically the flames down here. It gets sent up a tube, and this is basically the exhaust. So that's what that is. If you see a little bit of condensation building up above that, which you can see there, that's completely normal. It just means that the fridge is working properly, and you know, it's just releasing its gases up here. External mains power. So if your hookup cable is plugged in, this socket will be live. You've then got your toilet cassette locker out here, so you can take that all the way out really easily just by literally lifting up on this little yellow tab and pulling it out. Once that's out, you'll then be able to see all the sort of bits and pieces on it. All you need to know really is that you need to keep this little rubber seal here lubricated. It will be done on a habitation check. If you get it done once a year, you shouldn't have to worry about it, but if you don't, get yourself some sort of silicone lubricant and keep that little rubber seal there lubricated as often as you can. It allows this to come in and out really easily. If that hadn't been lubricated as part of our HAD check, that would be really stiff and it would be sort of difficult to move. But you can see there, it's literally really perfect. To actually empty it out, turn this handle outwards like this, and then drain it out whilst holding down your yellow button there. So the yellow button is quite simply just a pressure relief. So when you're pouring it out, it doesn't sort of come out in chunks, it comes out nice and easily. I know that's a bit gross, but that is what it does. You've got a freshwater flush, so you haven't got to worry about any separate flush fluids or anything like that above it. So anytime you've got fresh water in your tank, you can flush your toilet. Okay, I have to climb over these bits because of where we parked it in the garage to show you this, but I'll use 2 hands. Okay, so because I was holding the phone, I couldn't get a decent grip on it. Right, in the garage, you've got a spare wheel with a brand new tyre on it, so that's a full-size wheel, which is really nice. You've got an extension lead here and a light which you can just turn on and off like that, nice and easily. So the reason I've come in here and sort of sat down so I can show you it properly is because your main power supply unit and your trip switches are in here, and they're really important that I sort of show you how they work and what they do. So is an Electroblock is the name of the sort of brand of this power supply unit, or PSU, and it's really simple to use and simple how it works, but I do want to run you through it. So it's an EBL 299 or 269, sorry. So essentially you've got this one big power cable coming from there and powering it all up. So this essentially gets power sent to it from the leisure battery and the mains and spits it out in all different places where it needs to be. So you've got all of these fuses just here, and they've all got a little word in front of them. Now granted, this is a little bit, you know, it does look a little bit outdated. It's been here since the van was new, but it is all working absolutely perfectly. So we won't sort of mess about with it. So you've got these plugs just here. Now when the power comes into this unit here, over here, it then goes in here and then gets split off, and it does tell you block 7, block 6, blah blah blah, and they go off to various different places. So these ones could be for the fridge, these ones could be for, you know, it could be anything. You then also got your fuses here, and like I said, they do tell you exactly what they do, but it will be in German or French perhaps. I'm not sure, it might even be French. So I don't know how to say it, but that one there, that word basically means lights. So you then got lights external, so that's your awning light, and you know, you can kind of work out what they all mean. Pump, auxiliary, TV, you can work it all out, but they've all got their right fuses in them, they're all working, they're not broken. You then also got a little fuse bank just here, which you don't need to worry about. That's all generally sorry, to do with the split charging and things like that, but I will run you through that in a minute. You then also got your trip switches. So because I've got the mains cable plugged in at the moment, these are all live as well. And again, it's just like another sort of power supply unit. The power comes in here from that hookup point and then just gets split off to various places. But basically, if you plug your hookup cable in and sort of worked out that nothing was working, or if the light on the control panel, which I'll show you in a minute, isn't lit up, come through to the back here and just make sure that these are all in the upright position. You can also, if you want to, make sure that the trip switch is working when your hookup's plugged in. So this won't work when the hookup's not plugged in, but when your hookup's plugged in, you can press this blue button, and if that little RCD there goes down, it means that the trip is working. Okay. Other than that, that's about all I can show you in the garage. I think you've got some extra bits and pieces like this awning, and the awning winder is there as well. But yeah, so that's about it for in the garage. So I can get inside now and show you a few bits in there. So in the cab, as you know, it's based on the Mercedes, so it does feel nice and quality, like all the Mercedes vehicles are. Nice heavy duty. You've got a lot of factory extras on here as well. So you've got the standard fitted cruise control here, so this is an original Mercedes part. You then got your lights and indicators on this left hand side, washers and wipers on the right, which I actually prefer because some of the newer Mercedes have just got a left hand one, I think, and no right hand one here. It makes it a bit easier having both. Over on the right, you've got your electric adjusting mirrors, just there. And this button here won't actually do anything, I don't think, unless you've got heated mirrors. So quite possibly that might be the heated mirrors switch, but I'm not sure. Because that's basically, that switch there is for if you had a heated rear window. But obviously that's not there anymore because it's been converted into a motorhome. But that may well heat your mirrors, not sure. Fog light, that one there. So it's an automatic transmission, and I can quickly run you through how that works because it is so simple. So where it is now in the top right hand side on N, that stands for neutral obviously, and that is basically where you want to put it if you want to stop and if you want to stop and put your handbrake on. Okay, otherwise you're going to be over to the left hand side there on A, and that just basically means automatic. It'll just go run through the gears and you know, leave it absolutely as it is, and it'll do its thing. Whilst it's there, you can also go down or up, and it'll go back to the middle every time. Going up shifts down a gear, so that's why you've got the little minus sign. Pushing down shifts up a gear. So if you're driving along, you can leave it there and actually change the gears manually if you want to. All right, now when you do that, the little number in the middle there will change from A to 1 or 2 or whatever gear that you select. To get it to change back into normal automatic mode, just push to the left again and you should get an A come up in the middle instead. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Reverse, just go straight down to the right, and that is literally as simple as it gets. So literally, as I said, leave it up in neutral if you're stopped. Over to A will leave you in automatic. As soon as you start changing gears manually, it will change from A to whatever number the gear is in, and then just press it over to the left again to go back into automatic. If you want to go back into neutral, that's it. Okay, you then got your heater controls. So you've got cold at the bottom all the way around to hot at the top. You've then got the actual fan speed on this little roller dial here. You've got the fan control setting, so basically like where the fan pumps the air to here, and when you press that you can change from recirculate to drawing air in from outside. And then you've got your air conditioning switch over here on the left. The radio front is there. We just take them out so that it doesn't drain the battery out. That's about it really. You've got various speakers dotted around. Your park safe reversing camera is there, dash mounted, so it doesn't get in the way of your factory fitted blinds or anything like that. Okay, so I think that's about it for the cab. I will get onto the control panel in just a minute, but I just want to show you whilst we're here in the front. If I take these cushions off quickly, under this seat here you'll see a couple of things. So you can obviously see here a leisure battery. Now this is a 110 amp hour leisure battery. There is another leisure battery sat directly underneath it. So we fitted this battery for the previous owner because she only lived around the corner, and we did all the work on this vehicle for her. And so essentially this battery here runs directly in parallel from these wires onto the other one. So you've essentially got two leisure batteries working in parallel to give you extra power. Well, not extra power, but you know, it will last longer basically. So the original leisure battery is down there, and this is another one running in parallel. You then got over there is your solar controller. So there is a solar panel on the roof of this, and basically the solar panel runs down through that wire, big thick wire over there, into this unit, and then gets split between the leisure and the engine batteries. Okay, so that's what that's for. So I just thought I'd show you that under that seat just there before we go any further, or actually before I forget, because I'm quite good at that. Right, bed over the cab. To get that to come down, twist these little dials here. I don't know why I said dials, they're sort of clips really. Take them out, and then you can literally just pull this down. You do need to, before you do that, you need to make sure that two things. Make sure that your sun visors are in the upright position where they are now, and come through here and lower your seats I can't do it with one hand, so let me just pop you down for a second. So you literally just pull this lever here, and when you do that, push it forward. So just do that again. So once you've done that and they're down laying flat like that, you can then do whatever you like. Just pull this bed all the way down, nice and carefully, and then you've got the whole massive overcab bed there. Ladder just literally hooks on there and then meets the floor perfectly. And as you can imagine, this is really strong bit of kit and is perfectly capable of having a couple of adults up there. So if you see the thickness of those bars and, you know, bits and pieces up there, they really are heavy duty and they will take a few adults. So that's what that's for, and that's how that works. Put the ladder back on there like that, and then just essentially pull it back up. It's a little bit awkward with one hand, but you can do it. Pop your clips back on there like that, and there you go. That's it. So then once you're done with that, you can literally just pull your seats back. You need to have your handles lifted up to do that. Pull your seats back up, and that's it, out of the way and done. So the control panel over the top of the door. So when I was in the garage just there, I said about a light on the dash telling you that your mains cable is plugged in and working. That's that little light just there, the one that says 230 next to it. So if that light's on there, it means that your hookup is plugged in and it's working. So your charger's working basically. So the next button on top of that, so this is a rocker switch, so it goes up and down. So it says test on it. So when I push up here, it'll be showing me the voltage in the engine battery. 13 volts, so that's absolutely perfect. But like I said to you at the start, that's because the battery charger is on. If I press down, it will show us the leisure battery voltage, 14, and that's because the hookup's plugged in. So any other time when the hookup's not plugged in, it's just sat around, that leisure battery should be around 12. All right, as soon as it starts going below about 10 or 9, you know, it's kind of knackered, and you should probably charge it up or replace it, or them in this case. So that's your battery voltages, and you're going to be looking at the top scale there between 10 and 15. The next one on the right hand side is your fresh and waste water levels. So then you'll be looking at the lower scale. Fresh water is empty, wastewater is also empty. Okay, so up for fresh, down for waste. The first button here on the left hand side at the bottom is your main 12 volt on and off switch. So when I turn this off, all the lights turn off. If I turn it on, all the lights come on. Okay, so with this little light on here, it tells you that the 12 volt is switched on. Aux and light switches, so basically when you come into the vehicle, just turn both of these on. The aux one tends to do things like lights in random places, you know, just various things really, but that's that. And the last one is your water pump switch. So I'm going to turn that off straight away because there isn't actually any water in the tank, so the pump will just run and run and run and won't actually get to pressure. So unless your water tank's got water in it, I wouldn't bother using your pump because nothing will happen. And as long as you're not using the pump, if I was you, I would leave the switch off just in case the pump is actually running but really quietly, and then sometimes they can burn themselves out. So if you're not using the pump, if you don't need to use it, just leave the switch off. All right, so that's the control panel there. You've got 3 light switches here. Now one of them will do the awning light, as you can see there, and that is this bottom switch just here. The other 2 do, so that middle one there does those ones, and the top one should do those ones. So that's just light switches. You've got a fan on the back of this vent just here for your fridge, and the only reason you'd ever need to use that fan is if it was really hot outside and it was a summer's day. If the gas wasn't really getting the fridge cold enough, you can turn that fan on there to just get a little bit more cool air around to allow that sort of chemical reaction to work a little bit better. So that's what that's for there, and the bottom one there is for your step. So, the fridge is, well, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll work my way down. So, the grill and oven is just here. Now that works really, really simply. The only thing you do need really is a lighter of some description to get in there to light these up. So the oven is this one down here at the back, and the grill is this one here at the top. So you get the grill to come on. Oh, there you go. That was my fault, I wasn't pushing it in hard enough. So it has got an igniter. So in and round to the right should turn the grill on. Give it a little blow. Not quite. Try the oven first then. There you go, so that's the oven lit. Well, not quite. It's obviously been sat here over Christmas for a little while, so there you go. There's the grill. So sometimes if you haven't used these things for a little while, they will take a few seconds to actually light up. But if the grill won't light up, just do what I did there. Just give it a good blow in there and it should light up nice and easily. The oven there as well. So there you go. So like I said, when you don't use these gas appliances for a few weeks on end, you know, they do clog up a little bit. Sometimes even a spider going in there and, you know, making a web over the gas jet can sometimes make a big difference as well. So just turning it on and leaving it for a few seconds gets rid of any debris, and that's how that happens. So that's how that works. You've obviously got gas marks instead of an actual temperature on this one, so it's a little bit old school, but we'll turn that off. And that's that. To get that to open, push up on the little button there and that'll open up. You have got the rotisserie switch in there, so that turns that bit around in there, and obviously the light as well. Okay, so fridge, let me just get in a good position to show you that. So the fridge, it's an AES fridge, AES, so it's automatic energy selection. So essentially what that means is if you put this dial down here on auto, the fridge would automatically select what energy to use this fridge on, and whether that be gas, mains, 12 volt, it will choose it for you. In my opinion, it's kind of pointless, because it's really not hard to just turn this dial to whichever one you want to use, but if you want to leave it on auto, you can. It's up to you. At the moment, I've got the electric hookup plugged in and I've got the gas switched on, so I could use either mains, which is the middle one here, or gas. So now that I've just turned it off, the gas flame has gone out on the back of the fridge there, and the fridge has stopped cooling. Okay, because I've got the mains cable plugged in, I could go just here. I'd get a green light come on there telling me that the mains is plugged in. If the mains wasn't plugged in, you should get a little red light there telling you that it's not working. If I'd pre-cooled the fridge down either via the gas or the mains electric there, and I was starting the engine to drive off, I would then go down to 12 volt here, and that will basically keep the fridge cool via the engine, essentially. Now after a little while that will go off. At the moment it just thinks it's working, but it's not. Okay, I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but that's how that, you know, sometimes they do that. So let me explain that. So the 12 volt element in the back of the fridge isn't powerful enough by itself to cool this fridge down. So you need to pre-cool this fridge and all the stuff inside of it before you leave to go on holiday. So for example, if you're going to go on holiday tomorrow morning, I would advise, if you have access to a hookup cable outside or wherever you keep the motorhome, plug the mains cable into the vehicle, leave it overnight with the fridge on mains. If you don't have access to that hookup cable, switch your gas on and leave the fridge lit up on gas overnight. It's perfectly safe. It's, you know, works really, really well. So light it up on gas, leave it lit up overnight, and then this fridge will be freezing cold in the morning, ready to go. So then all you need to do, turn the engine on and then go down to your 12 volt function there. So all that the 12 volt does, essentially what happens is, right, explain it properly. When you start the engine, your alternator charges up your engine battery like any car or van does. But in a motorhome, or any proper motorhome like Pilote or any decent brand, has got something called a split charger. So it sends power from that alternator that goes to the engine battery, splits it off, and then sends it through to the leisure battery and the fridge as well. So all the time that you're driving, your leisure battery is being charged up, and you get 12-volt functionality on the fridge. Okay, so anytime that your engine's running, you need to be on 12 volt. Anytime it's not running and you want to keep the fridge cold, either mains or gas. But like I said, if you choose auto, so if I select auto now, it should choose mains. It'll just make its mind up. There you go. So it's chosen mains because really, with the mains cable plugged into the vehicle and the gas on, the best energy to use out of those two, if you have access to both, is the mains. If you didn't have the mains plugged in, it would have chosen gas. And if you don't have either of those things on and your engine's running, it will choose 12 volt. All right, but that's how the fridge works. So I am just actually going to leave that up on gas for a little bit to give it a good burn out. Right. So the sink here is hot and cold tap there. Looks reasonably new to me. And the 3-burner hob here has got its own ignition on it. So essentially, pushing in here, try and do it with one hand, will allow you to light up any of these Kramer burners. So that's what that is. You've got a nice big cupboard under here and really good access to the bottom of the sink, which is really helpful for any problems that you might get in the future. Nice lot of storage in there, and in this one as well. You've got some gas isolators here, which is really important. So that's actually all of your gas isolators. So essentially you've got the fridge at the bottom, that is your oven and grill, boiler, and then your cooker at the top here, your 3-burner hob. So if you just literally turn any of these 90 degrees, it will isolate the gas going to that appliance. So you don't need to do that any time that you get out of the vehicle or anything like that. It's only if you think there's if you think there's a problem with an appliance, you can isolate the gas from there. That's that. Up here you've got some LED strip light and the original light as well, whichever switch that is. There you go. And your extractor fan. You've also got mains cable plugged in there, and should be a 12 volt one here. So these switches over here on the right are all to do with your boiler, so your hot water and your heating. So the top one there is how you heat the water up on electric only. So if I had the boiler full up of water, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, and I had the mains cable plugged in, I could press that button there, it'll go green, and that basically means that the electric element is heating up the water inside the boiler. At the moment, I don't have the boiler full up of water, so I can't really use that. The one at the bottom here is your gas, and that is to do heating or hot water. And the way that works is you turn the dial down 1 for heating only on gas, down 2 for heating and hot water, and that's when you get the hot water symbol there is your little orange symbol. Back to the middle turns that off. Up 1 is hot water only, and up 2 is hot water on at 60 degrees. Okay, so hot water only on gas is up, heating only is down 1, and heating and hot water is down 2. And like I said, this is on gas only. Now, the only other thing I need to tell you really is with that boiler having the automatic dropout valve, you do need to make sure that the boiler is actually full of water before you go ahead and start playing around with any of that. You can use the heating without any water, that's okay. It's still advised to have some water in the boiler because it will get hot in there. But, you know, it's not the end of the world. If you don't have any water, you can still use the heating. So, if you have water in the fresh tank, you can turn your pump switch on and come to the tap here and just pull the hot water through here. So open up the tap and turn it to the left basically, and allow the water to come through here until any air or any coughing and sputtering stops. As soon as that stops and the water's coming through nice and clearly, you can turn that tap off, allow the pump to turn itself off, and then you can go ahead and use those. All right, it will take a few minutes to get to pressure, but that's completely normal. These bits here, which are all to do with your sink here, to cover it up, I think you can do something clever with them. Let me just think. There you go. So you can actually use those there as like a little bit of extra storage, or whatever you want really, but that's, I just thought I'd show you that's how that works. Otherwise you can have it in here. So that's how you'd normally have it, just like that. So that's what that does. In the bathroom, let's see where the light switch is so I can actually see, so you can see more light really. Up here, so that's where the light switch is, up there. Right, so in the bathroom there's really not much I need to show you. The tap is quite literally just hot and cold, left and right, exactly the same with the shower. All of that drains directly through to your waste tank, and it's all draining out really nicely. Only thing I really want to show you is this toilet. So like I said, you've got a freshwater flush, and so you do need fresh water in the tank in order to flush the toilet. To actually flush it, press the blue button there, and that'll basically pump the fluid around into the bowl. And then to drain it out into the cassette, open this flap up and then close it back. All right, that is as simple as it gets in a bathroom, to be completely honest. That is also storage in there. Yeah, I wonder what else there is to show you. In the wardrobe here, you've got your camera box and the original grill rack and things like that for the oven, if you wanted to use those. The ladder system back here to get up onto the bed is quite cool. So you open up this front part of the locker, which is also a big locker to get into the garage. Open up just the front part there, and then you can allow this ladder to come down there, and then obviously when you're done with it you can pop it back up in there and close it over. So that's really nice and neat, rather than having a ladder sort of floating about around here all the time. It's part of the locker there. But that's about it really. I don't think there's much else to show you. If there's anything you think I've missed out, or anything you want going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.